Junko Tabei, born on September 22, 1939, in Miharu, a small town in the Fukushima prefecture of Japan, is celebrated as one of the most pioneering and accomplished mountaineers in history. Her journey to becoming the first woman to summit Mount Everest and the first woman to complete the 7 summits was not an easy one. Born into a time when women's roles were largely defined by traditional expectations, Tabei's rise in the male-dominated field of mountaineering would become a symbol of resilience, determination, and the breaking of barriers. Growing up in post-war Japan, Tabei faced many societal challenges. As a young girl, she was introduced to the outdoors and nature through hiking trips with her family. It was during these early excursions that she first developed a love for the mountains. Despite her passion for outdoor adventures, the prevailing gender norms of the time often made it difficult for women to pursue such activities, particularly in Japan, where women's participation in outdoor sports and extreme activities was uncommon. Tabei's desire to climb began to take shape during her time at Japan's Showa Pharmaceutical University, where she was enrolled in the 1950s. At university, she joined the hiking club, and her interest in climbing steadily deepened. The mountains, she later explained, offered her a sense of freedom and a challenge that she found in no other part of her life. However, pursuing mountaineering at this time was a significant struggle, as there were few role models for women in the sport, and societal expectations around femininity did not align with the rugged, physically demanding world of high-altitude climbing. Despite these challenges, Tabei's passion for mountaineering grew stronger, and she soon found herself determined to scale higher peaks, even though opportunities were scarce for female climbers. This perseverance, despite the barriers placed before her, would later define her career. Career peak, scaling Everest and the 7 summits. Junko Tabei's career took a historic turn in 1975, when she became the first woman in the world to summit Mount Everest, the tallest peak on Earth. This achievement remains one of the defining moments of her career, a symbol of her trailblazing spirit and her determination to shatter gender barriers in mountaineering. However, her journey to the top of Everest was anything but easy. In 1975, Tabei was leading an all-female Japanese expedition to Everest. The team faced extreme challenges on their ascent, including severe weather conditions, the risk of avalanches, and the sheer physical demands of the climb. Tabei's leadership, determination, and resilience played a vital role in guiding her team to the summit. On May 16, 1975, she reached the summit of Mount Everest, an extraordinary achievement that established her as one of the world's most accomplished mountaineers. But Tabei's success on Everest was not just a personal victory. Her achievement opened doors for women in mountaineering and inspired countless female climbers around the world. By breaking the gender barrier on the world's highest mountain, she demonstrated that women could compete at the highest level in a field that had long been dominated by men. Following her success on Everest, Tabei continued to break records and blaze trails in the mountaineering world. In the years that followed, she completed the 7 summits, an extraordinary accomplishment that involves climbing the highest peak on each of the 7 continents. Her successful summits of Kilimanjaro in Africa, Denali in North America, and Aconcagua in South America further solidified her place as a pioneer in mountaineering. Tabei's triumphs were not limited to her personal accomplishments. As an advocate for women in the sport, she actively encouraged and mentored young women climbers, aiming to inspire the next generation of female mountaineers. Her work as a mountaineering instructor and speaker also helped to create a more inclusive and welcoming environment for women in the mountaineering community. Main achievements: breaking records and shaping mountaineering. Junko Tabei's main achievements extended far beyond her personal summits. She became a symbol of possibility for women in the mountaineering world, and her influence reached the global stage. Here are some of her most significant achievements. First woman to summit Mount Everest. Tabei's most famous achievement came in 1975 when she became the first woman to reach the summit of Mount Everest. This milestone shattered the prevailing belief that women were physically incapable of undertaking such extreme feats and helped to pave the way for other female climbers in the years to come. Completion of the 7 summits. Tabei is also celebrated for being the first woman to complete the 7 summits. This challenging mountaineering challenge involves reaching the highest peaks on each of the 7 continents. Her successful summits included Mount Everest, Asia, Aconcagua, South America, Denali, North America, Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa, Mount Elbrus, Europe, Vincent Massif, Antarctica, Mount Kosciuszko, Australia. By completing the 7 summits, Tabei set a record that would be an inspiration to climbers for decades, particularly for women in mountaineering, who had often been discouraged from taking on such ambitious goals. Climbing and advocacy. Beyond her personal climbs, Tabei worked to promote mountaineering as an activity accessible to everyone, regardless of gender. She advocated for the inclusion of women in the sport, encouraging them to take on climbing as a way to challenge themselves and broaden their horizons. She was also an outspoken proponent of environmental conservation, stressing the importance of preserving mountain environments in the face of increasing tourism and climate change. National and international recognition. Tabei's achievements earned her widespread recognition in both Japan and internationally. She was awarded several prestigious awards, including the Japanese National Medal of Honor and recognition from various mountaineering organizations. Tabei's recognition as an ambassador for mountaineering and as a champion for women's rights in the sport earned her numerous accolades, including invitations to speak at global events and institutions. Author and advocate for women. In addition to her climbing career, Tabei was an author who wrote extensively about her experiences in the mountains. Her book Everest, A Climber's Life, published in 1999, provided an insight into her personal and professional life, as well as her views on the challenges faced by women in mountaineering. Tabei's advocacy also extended to promoting women's leadership and equality, both in mountaineering and beyond. Challenges faced and setbacks. While Junko Tabei's career was one of exceptional triumphs, it was not without its challenges and setbacks. The world of high-altitude mountaineering has always been a male-dominated field, and Tabei faced significant resistance and skepticism from both men and women who believed that women were not suited for such extreme pursuits. Her early years as a mountaineer were marked by a lack of financial resources, societal discouragement, and the physical toll of extreme climbs. One of the most notable setbacks in Tabei's life was her battle with cancer. In 2012, Tabei was diagnosed with peritoneal cancer, a type of cancer affecting the abdominal lining. Despite this diagnosis, Tabei maintained a positive outlook and continued to remain active. Even though her health was deteriorating, her perseverance during this difficult period is another testament to her strength and resilience, as she refused to let the disease define her or take away her passion for mountaineering. Moreover, during her expeditions, Tabei often had to navigate the physical and logistical challenges of climbing in hostile environments, including the high altitudes, harsh weather conditions, and unpredictable terrain that come with summiting the world's tallest mountains. These obstacles were compounded by the challenges of organizing expeditions as a woman in a male-dominated world. Final years and legacy. In her later years, Tabei continued to inspire future generations of climbers, particularly women, by participating in various outreach programs, giving talks, and encouraging young people to pursue mountaineering. She remained an advocate for the promotion of women in extreme sports, tirelessly working to break down the gender barriers in climbing. Though her health declined due to cancer, Tabei's spirit and commitment to the mountaineering community remained unwavering. In the final years of her life, she devoted much of her time to sharing her knowledge and experiences with younger generations of climbers, ensuring that her legacy would continue far beyond her own personal achievements. Junko Tabei passed away on October 20, 2016, but her legacy lives on in the mountaineering community. She inspired countless women and men alike to pursue their dreams of climbing, showing that with determination, resilience, and the willingness to break through barriers, anything is possible. Her journey from a young girl with a passion for the mountains to a global icon of mountaineering will always be remembered as a monumental achievement in the history of the sport. Achievements at a glance. First woman to summit Mount Everest, 1975. First woman to complete the 7 summits. Author of Everest, A Climber's Life. Advocate for women in mountaineering. Awarded Japan's National Medal of Honor. Environmental and gender equality advocacy. Conclusion. Junko Tabei's legacy is one of resilience, courage, and determination. As the first woman to summit Mount Everest and the first woman to complete the 7 summits, she opened new doors for women in mountaineering and inspired generations to come. Her journey through the peaks of the world's highest mountains and her advocacy for gender equality and environmental sustainability continue to shape the mountaineering world today. Through her indomitable spirit, Junko Tabei demonstrated that the mountains are not just for the strongest climbers, but for anyone willing to take on the challenge regardless of gender, background, or circumstance.